Quack, quack, quack. Welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. And today we have D3, the Mighty Ducks. This is the third in the trilogy of Mighty Ducks films, later to be followed up with a series on Disney Plus, an original series that basically returned a number of the cast members, at least Emilio Estevez. I remember watching it, the first episode, but I can't remember the rest of it. Then Emilio Estevez left after like one season because he had political differences, as one does apparently, and then took over by some other people. Lorelai Gilmore, I don't know, but one of the Gilmore girls, they took over at some point. Well, she was a romantic, I don't know, she was a romantic interest in the first season. It doesn't matter. We're talking about D3. D3, the Mighty Ducks. This is from 1996. It's an hour and 44 minutes long. And Joshua Jackson is back. He's our lead duck. He's our main character amongst the kids, anyway. And what we like I mentioned, Emilio Estevez is their coach, except he's not in this film. He shows up at the very beginning of the film to say bye. And yes, he does show up later at important parts, but not as a coach. No, and I don't want to spoil too much. Yes, this movie is nearly 30 years old, so I'm not really going to spoil too much for anybody who actually cares. If you didn't watch it in the last 30 years, odds are you're just like not going to be like, oh, wait, did I miss out on that? No, you knew about it, and you just didn't watch it. I knew about it. I didn't watch it until just now. So, yeah, I just finished watching it just a moment ago. So... but it's Joshua Jackson. It is pretty much the entire cast is back. This is really difficult because it's been 30 years, and most of these kids are now graying adults. In fact, Joshua Jackson, this is 1996. He's 2 years away from joining Dawson's Creek. And probably but right after he finished shooting this, he went into, to audition, probably, and just do early shooting the pilot or something. He's almost indistinguishable at this point in time. The only weird thing about the main weird thing about this is that the plot is just really forced in order to create a conflict. You know, they were like a Pee-wee team at one point at the beginning, and they were just sort of cobbled together from a mishmash of different kids. They were all intentionally meant to be very different kids. There is Joshua Jackson, the almost 6 foot tall 14-year-old. Well, now, at least in this film. I don't know how. He wasn't that tall in the first film. But then, again, they did it across racial lines, and everybody's kind of a cliche of their representation. The black kid, the Jewish kid, the Latino kid, I think there's the Italian kid, the Asian kid. Yeah, it's just the girls. There's two girls. It just seems really odd. It just feels really forced in order to give representation, which is a great thing. But the idea of how it's executed just seems a little ham-fisted to me. And again, when you're making a film for kids, you want every kid to be able to see themselves. Oh my gosh, I love hockey. I want to see a kid who looks like me in that team. I want to imagine I'm part of the Mighty Ducks. I totally get that. It's not subtle at all, and sometimes it's a little offensive with some of the lines and some of the line delivery. A bagel is thrown out in the garbage onto the ice, and the Jewish kid picks it up and says, "You got any cream cheese for this?" Really, really. And then what's his name? Jordan. Why can't I say his last name? From Saturday Night Live. Jordan. Keenan Thompson. Jordan Thompson? Why did I think it was Jordan Thompson? I was thinking Jordan Peele. and it's not the same person at all. Kenan Thompson, he's been on Saturday Night Live for decades now. It seems like it. Maybe he just left this movie and stepped into the set of Saturday Night Live. I don't know, but he makes some sort of reference at some point to his rough neighborhood or something. He has a lot of the funniest lines, and half of them are fully his delivery. Totally understandable, and he's good. He's good, but again, a lot of this movie, even though it has those little bits thrown in there, it's they're almost they feel like almost homages to what the characters were in previous films when they were coming together and building the team. For the most part, the team is really nebulous in this film. It's yeah, certain characters get their lines and they perk up, but this is all about class warfare. In this, I know I don't want to make it sound so serious, but this is a lot darker film than the previous ones. There's a few hells and damns said out loud in a Disney film. I know that's not rough language, but for a Disney film, a kid-oriented Disney film, that's pretty harsh. You know, mostly this is going to be watched by 10-year-olds for the most part. It's 12-year-olds maybe, you know, something around those lines, junior high or lower. It tends to be the target market for this kind of thing. It's dark. There's some of the stuff that's shot in it that's directed by Robert Lieberman. There's one base. Okay, I gotta step back here. Sorry, step back. The class warfare thing I mentioned. They all get a scholarship to another school. I must have missed where it was. I'm not exactly sure where, but they're all basically still in the same town because Joshua Jackson, his mom, is still there. And she's played by Heidi Kling. She's Casey. So nobody had to pick up and move. It's not the Karate Kid like they had to move across the country from New Jersey to California to resettle their lives. No, these kids are given access to a private school for some reason. They all have scholarships because they're good at hockey. And they're the junior squad. They're freshmen, basically. They're the junior varsity. But there's a varsity team that really doesn't like them. And it's filled with a bunch of really snobby white rich kids who are just we're all very good looking and play hockey good and we're tough. And by the way, one of them I really like this I gotta say his name. Hold on, gotta find his name. There he is, Michael Cudlitz. Michael Cudlitz used to, if you know Abraham on The Walking Dead, he's done a ton of other stuff. Cudlitz has been everywhere, but the thing I've seen him the most in was in The Walking Dead, the years he was on that show. So it's funny to see him as like a high schooler, like a gruff, tough high schooler. And of course, you know, coming back to our main cast, some other members that you might recognize pretty well are Eldon Henson. Eldon Henson plays Fulton, who is also Foggy Nelson in the Daredevil series. So yeah, there's a bunch of familiar faces. Goldberg, he's I think he's kind of one of the standout characters, played by Sean Weiss. He's kind of the chunky kid who, again, representation. The chunky kid who plays goalie and is sort of just, he gets a lot of the funny lines. He gets to, there's a big sequence at the beginning where they're all on rollerblades trying to get to the ceremony that announces them as to be joining the school, and his inline skates go out of control, and it's a big chase. And Joshua Jackson, I keep forgetting his name, is Charlie. Charlie races after him, and it's all big slapsticky moments. He just can't control it. There, one point he gets caught up in like people's laundry out to dry, and there's a pit bull chasing him at one point, and he just can't stop. He's jumping over things and walls, and there's groceries flying everywhere. There's eggs. It's getting all over Charlie, and it's all silly, funny slapstick, and somehow, of course, even though he goes through all this, almost flying through traffic with trucks flying every different direction, could kill them at any moment. He jumps over the edge of a thing, and suddenly he's back with his buddies again, and then they all crash through into the auditorium. Sorry, I spoiled that for you, but let's just say none of the kids were going to die in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Just going to say that right out loud. Yeah, so it's silly. A lot of it is so silly. So it's so forced story wise, but at the same time, like I said, it's kind of dark. Like I said, with Emilio Estevez taken out of the picture, he doesn't die or anything. But did he? He didn't. He didn't because obviously, like I said, he shows up in the series later on Disney Plus just a few years ago. But he kind of just shows up later on as like almost a ghostly figure, like I've done my business here, and he just walks out of the room while everybody else is celebrating. Hint, hint. Yeah, I'm going to spoil a bunch of stuff. It's just the way it is at this point. I'm just going to spoil a bunch of stuff. I'll try to be indirect about it, but you know how these movies go. If it's a third film in a trilogy, the heroes are not going to lose. They could lose in the end of the second film, or like if it's a Rocky film, end of the first film. Never are they going to lose at the end of a third film, which could, due to their, being teenagers and growing quickly, in the case of Joshua Jackson, who is, again, nearly 6 feet tall, at 14, I think he's life is, in real life, he's a little bit older than that, but yeah. There's a romance in this as well, but it's dark. The bad guys, the varsity team, really come out hard yelling at the kids for being affirmative action hires. It is some really kind of things that little 10-year-olds watching this are not going to understand a bit of. But their parents will go, oh crap. it's some, yeah. The people who wrote this, there's a number of writers, 5 writers, they definitely knew what they were doing with their class warfare stories. Because these, again, the Mighty Ducks are a hodgepodge collection of kids from all over, and they're all different. They're representative of the culture of America, and the bad guys are an all-powerful rich white conglomerate of jocks and their hot cheerleader girlfriends. One of the Mighty Ducks makes a quick move on because I think he's Italian, and women can't deny him. I don't know. I don't know. At least he didn't put on like a heavy accent or anything to just really drive it home. But one of the main things is they get a new coach as a result of this, and this coach is played by Jeffrey Nordling. He plays Coach Orion. He's a tough guy. He's just really, he's got a history. Like, he washed out of the majors as well, and he's accused of just coming in here acting real tough, pushing around teenagers. He's got a very strict way of doing things, and the kids are kind of freeform. We're the Mighty Ducks. We just do the V formation and other stuff, and maybe practice. So, immediately, everybody hates him, especially Charlie. But again, it's because mainly the loss of his father figure is gone. He has another father figure, or a grandfather type figure, in Hans, who sort of gives him vague wisdom whenever he visits him to try to work out his problems, and still leaves angry and slams doors. Not Hans, Charlie. So yeah, and certain things happen with Hans that are insanely predictable, especially when they telegraph it in the dialogue. Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun film, but there are layers to it. There are layers to it if you pay attention to it. But for the most part, there's a lot of montages. There's a lot more hockey, I think, in this than I kind of remember the other ones having. Obviously, you want to have character development and relationship issues and father-son dynamics, mother-son dynamics, and teammates, brotherhood, sisterhood, kind of the kids, bouncing off each other, trying to, figure out who they are and what their part is in all of this. That's kind of the heart of all these types of films. But you also want to play in hockey. It's a movie about hockey. And I'm not an athlete by any stretch of the imagination. But if any sport I played growing up, it was hockey, and on real ice, on real pond ice, and also in a skating rink, but on a real pond of thick ice that at least was hopefully thick most of the time. And so yeah, I understand how the game is played. I understand, there's a lot of rough play in this. This is that. It's like the referees disappear at some point in some of these games, and you got to remind yourself this is still children playing these games. Yes, most of them are in their 20s and they're playing teenagers, but still, it's if you don't take it too seriously, you can have a great time watching this with your kids, and make it, watch the trilogy together. If you like hockey, it's always good. There's lots of silly, lots of dumb fun, and the characters are kind of, like I said, they're kind of lost in this for the most part, other than every time they get a line, and it's mostly about Charlie. It is, at the core, it's always about Charlie and his relationships with his different father figures. When he gets the new one, it's not going to go well. But will they resolve their differences when he learns a little bit more about him, and the coach, for some reason, suddenly just changes completely for no reason at all after Charlie learns about the coach and his reasons for being a coach at this school? Sure. Will the team, after this coach is stripped away their identity as the Mighty Ducks and say, no more of this duck crap, and he's just the bad guy in this, will they get their identity returned to them in the final moments before they have to battle the varsity team for dominance and being representative of the school or something? Like that, and also retain their scholarships? Like they're going to take their scholarships away because they're not performing well enough? These are 14-year-olds playing hockey. I realize it's all about money, and again, it's a Richie Rich school, and yeah, but come on. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, again, kids, 10-year-olds watching this are not going to care. In fact, they'll go to the bathroom or get another slice of pizza, Pop-Tart or whatever, during the legal argument or the discussions about whether the kid's going to get kicked out of school or not. Yeah, they'll take off. But then when it comes back for the hockey, at least 3 or 4 games are in this. And of course, everything hinges on those final seconds of the game. And does that new coach that they all hated, they're really frustrated by, does he have heartfelt wisdom? Does he show that he cares about the kids? Yes. You can guess he does. And does the things that he's been saying all along actually work and help benefit them rather than undermine what the kids think they have to do or should do or have always done? Yes, of course. And is there only one scene that gives him a level of humanity before his sudden change of heart that makes you go, oh, he's a good guy? And then it's never talked about ever again in the film? Sure. Is this a great film? No, it's not a great film. Is it entertaining, especially for people who love hockey? Sure, yeah, absolutely. You love these actors? Absolutely. It's so funny to look at some of these, and now they're all growing up, and just, yeah, it's just really it's really fun seeing these guys all grown up, and gals. One girl in this plays a love interest for Charlie. Her name is Margot Finley. She plays Linda. And by the way, this is the whole aesthetic. One reason I would love watching this again is just for the 90s aesthetic. There's a Bare Naked Ladies song. Not even a popular Bare Naked Ladies song in this, but it's a Bare Naked Ladies song is in this movie while Charlie and his buddy wander around. It's a bunch of wander around a theme park rather than going to school. Okay. The music throughout it's like a deep cut 90s playlist. I almost want to look up the soundtrack. If it exists, it should. But Linda, Margot Finley reminds me of Catherine Devereaux or something from Wonder Falls. They look almost exactly alike. They're both from Canada. Do Canadian girls all look like this? They're adorable. They're just beautiful. I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, but that's neither here nor there. But they're just, I think they're twins, and they may not know it. I tried to look it up to see if they were the same person with different names or twins or related. Somehow they're not. So yeah, there's a lot to do with your head in this while watching this movie. The 90s, just class warfare. Or hockey. You can enjoy it for hockey as well. So yeah, definitely check this out. If you want to finish off seeing the rest of the thing, it's totally watchable with your kids. It's really dumb at parts, but you can get over that. You can get over that. But it's because it's meant to be silly. So yeah, that's all I've said. I've said enough. It's over 20 minutes now. Let's pick tomorrow's episode. I gotta go to bed. 26. Oh, no. 26 is already... Dang it. I set this thing to not pick numbers that have already been picked. And apparently it's ignoring that. I even checked it before this. 26 has already been picked. And you see it was... Dance Moms, Abby's Studio Rescue. That's right after this one. This was number 25. Okay, I gotta check this, make sure it doesn't pick anything again. No? Yeah, prevent rerolls. I don't know. Let's pick it again. What a waste of time. 104. 104. We have so few things left. I've watched mostly everything on Disney Plus. 104 is also watched. 104, if we scroll over, it was Renegade Nell. And that was just like last week. Come on. What is your problem? I've never had to do this before. 44. Is this just picking numbers that I've already picked? That's it? Because I have a feeling this has been... No, it's not. No, it's not. Finally, something we haven't watched. This is, just to get this over with, it is Frozen, the hit Broadway musical. So you've seen Frozen, probably too much if you're a parent of a toddler who loves to sing Let It Go. Of course, that was like 10 years ago, but now it's the hit Broadway musical. So we're going to be watching Frozen, the hit, it's called that. Frozen, the hit Broadway musical, next on the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.